One of the life questions that we all need to wrestle with is when you like yourself, why? Why do you like yourself in those moments you do? What is it that you say about yourself? Like, man, I feel good about who I am. That's good and dangerous, right? Like this.
Because how often is that thing something you have no control of and can be taken from you?
Yes, if why you like yourself is everyone around you is happy, you are in a very precarious position. You cannot please everybody all the time, and they're going to get mad, and then I'm a failure.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sparks of Gratitude podcast. I am Randy Sparks, your host, and gratitude can not only change lives, but also save them. And today we're bringing somebody amazing to the conversation. Philanthropist, leadership coach. He's been everywhere. He's the Renaissance man, Scott Wozniak. Welcome to the conversation.
Randy, thanks, brother. I've been looking forward to this for a while. Man, since we started talking, like so much of what you do and what you talk about are things that are like my life story and things I care about as well. So I think when we were getting ready for this, I was like, what do we talk about? We have too many things to talk about. Not that we can't come up with some, but yeah, this is going to be great, man.
Yeah, it's exciting for me. I mean, you're also the host of your own podcast called Play the Long Game, and
Right.
you've got a ton of episodes out there with amazing content, not just with your own insights, but with amazing guests. Your own. I mean, people check out his podcast, Play the Long Game. Look him up online. scottwozniak.com. We'll put everything in the links there. But
Sure.
on top of that, there's so much valuable information and content out there from Scott. But what's going to be valuable in this conversation is where Scott's valuable insights came from.
Mhm.
What inspired all this, what this came from. So to start, Scott, I've been thinking about your background and like just the wide range of, how I learned that you got to where you are. I mean, everything from working as like a with youth for many years, working with Chick-fil-A for many years, working in business school for many years. Maybe you can describe a little bit of your background so everybody understands the breadth of that.
Yeah.
And then I've got a question so maybe just give us a quick overview of the broad range of where you've come from to
Yeah.
get where you
So
are now.
I'm going to give you the things I've done, and I will not explain how I made those transitions yet.
Okay.
Because I will, though, they'll tease with this. The transitions that got me from one crazy field to another crazy field, I think that's some zone that we could really dig into. They were a mix of tragedy and failure and some of the best moments of my life and some of the best lessons of my life from these things. But with that little teaser being said, I actually grew up as a child actor on stage. My mom was a theater director. My first role in a major play, I was 4 years old. There's a little kid. I don't even know if they did a casting role. It was just like, hey, he's coming with me to rehearsal anyway. Give him the part. I loved it. I just started doing all the shows I could. By the time I was 10, I was traveling around winning competitions. I recorded some albums with music guys in middle school and high school, got on an NBC Christmas special. And so, yeah, whole field, musical theater, acting, improv theater, recording studios. I was a performing kid. Well, then I took my left turn into working with youth. Started with sports camps in summers and became a leadership guy for them. Then I worked on a national tour with rock bands and comedians, trying to get parents and teens to connect. And worked in some local churches as a kind of a youth coordinator. It was a unique job. I had this spot where I didn't work for one particular church. I sat between a whole bunch of them and provided a ton of youth activities and events and things for kids in the inner city, supported by a bunch of churches. And so then I took a left turn and I went into business and became a business consultant, got a master's in business and started working on international coach training and consulting and leadership and strategy. Then I swapped over and became a leadership guy for Chick-fil-A. Crazy story on how I got there, but and I had a really unique job because I was not a restaurant guy when I went into that. Now I know a bunch about restaurants, but at the time, not so much. And my job was not to run one of the departments. I worked with the executive team, but my job was to work on the business, not in the business. So Then literally 50% of the time I traveled the world, went inside other companies, learned how the best in the world operate. And the other half was come back and turn it into some sort of company upgrade. And I built customer experience systems and innovation processes and leadership programs and storytelling for marketing and all sorts of wonderful stuff. And I walked with them from 5 billion in sales to their 22 billion in sales last year. So I eventually left my staff role, built my own consulting shop. The first client assigned me was Chick-fil-A. So no,
Yeah.
I'm not an
They wouldn't let
employee.
you go too far or
Yeah,
too easy.
I love those guys. I was just out there last week on their innovation centers. Had a blast.
Mm.
Love them. But yeah, now we help companies from software to construction, from healthcare to retail and restaurants. And so we help people build great customer experiences and legendary teams. And so, like, how do you stand out and get this high performance, magical moment kind of stuff? And it's not lucky products. It's not just for fried chicken, folks. Yeah, we do this for a lot of business to business technical. There's some fundamentals we figured out. And of course, along the way, I've become an investor and kept my meeting right before this was about video games. I'm a big fan of the video game space. And so, yeah, I'm all over the map. But I will say there are some threads, and we can dig into this. There's some themes, but I will say those transition moments have actually been beautiful revelations of like, oh, the thing I thought I was doing is not actually the thing. There's more, or there's different, or maybe I'm different than I thought I was. And all these left turns have really been progressions of me figuring out who I am and how I show up in the world.
Okay, so that's where I think we can dig into some of this meat, but I feel like I needed and maybe the listener needs to hear that breadth of background. I mean, and I mean, on
Sure.
top of all that, you and I share a whole bunch of kind of extracurricular interests with, adventure and, and skiing and cycling, and all the adventure. And so hopefully we're going to do that sometime together soon. So,
Yeah,
uh,
you're on. You're on.
so and additionally, I mean, you have this on your website and everywhere that you just devour books, right? A couple hundred books a year that you read. And so I'm certain that you read the book I'm going to mention that I read several years ago called Range by David Epstein.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, it is.
so and the reason I bring this up is when I look at your background, it makes me think of this book. And so
Mhm.
I came up in a time where I think like, oh, we need to specialize, specialize, specialize. And I'm a very specialized but my trade, my profession is I'm a trust and estates attorney. And,
Yeah.
I'm even narrow in how I practice in that specific area where I got a
Mhm.
master's of tax law and I really specialize in this narrow practice of law.
Yeah.
And that what I say that allows me to go deep but not wide, right?
Mhm.
And so it's very specialized. And then I read that book and it reminded me that I'm like, "Oh my gosh, well, I have a bachelor's degree in Latin American studies. I have a
That's
master's of public administration, and I worked in city management for a bit. I mean, I've done all these things, and then I went to law school later after I had jobs here and
yeah.
there, and then got a master's of tax law and, different jobs and living in different parts of the country and the world and so on, and for a moment in my life, I was actually a bit embarrassed to say, I have this many university degrees. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, pick one. Like, what are you gonna do with your life, right? And so I was kinda like, I yeah, I went to law school. I'm an attorney. I practice law.
Yeah.
And then this book kinda, like, helped me come out of that sheepishness and own that, "Oh, no, I had this broad range of experience and education,"
Yeah.
because this book argues that, having a what does he say in it? Let me the why generalists triumph in a specialized world, okay? And so and
It's
I'm like,
strong. Yeah.
okay, somebody kind of defending the fact that I'm like, I can be better in a specialized world because of the previous experience, gaining general experience all over the map.
Mhm.
That is you,
Yes.
all over the map.
Yeah, very much so.
Hey there, everyone. Did you know that beyond hosting the Sparks of Gratitude podcast, I am also an estate planning attorney and I love gratitude, and my law firm is proud to sponsor this video. Since 2010, in my law practice, I have designed and delivered customized peace of mind with sophisticated estate planning made easy. So whether you need foundational estate planning, including revocable trusts, wills, powers of attorney, and healthcare directives, which is what most people need, Or you might need advanced strategies such as irrevocable trust for asset protection or advanced estate tax planning. I am here to guide you every step of the way, because at the end of the day, your peace of mind is my peace of mind. You can visit randallsparks.com and I can get started helping you plan for the future today. Now back to our podcast.
But let me validate one thing as we do this. I don't think it's either or. I think the best frame I could put to is what I love is T-shaped people. T-shaped because the like capital letter T in English, right? There's a deep center piece. I can go deep on something. You've got to have some deep expertise, but you also have this broader, I'm less deep, but I can reach across multiple disciplines. And it's not either or. It's actually the most creative, productive, kind of best perspective people I know are T-shaped. They're not just, a capital I and deep, and they're not just broad and wide. It's both. It's
Mhm.
honestly, Randy, you're maybe the best combo is because you do have deep expertise, but you can also lean in and draw on a bunch of other things from your extracurricular stuff. Like you're not just a casual cyclist, like it's serious business, and you could get, but you're not like a world class, like this is what I do 6 hours a day guy, but you could talk. So that range of from my hobbies to my other degrees, and then there's one zone I can go deep in. That is a beautiful setup. And I'll do another metaphor since we're on this track. Here's what I think I have learned that my life is, and I think for many of our life is like a tree to tree journey through the forest. So when I was young, and I think there's a lot of pressure, young and old, there's pressure to be like, find your thing, right? What's
Yes,
the
yeah,
thing?
definitely. I felt that pressure before.
So I thought I found my thing. That I'm a good performer. Everyone's patting me on the back. I mean, I'm getting paid as a kid to do pretty epic stuff. Like, dude, you got the gift. You could do this. And so I went in, I got a degree. My first degree is musical theater performance. I started doing professional work. I was getting lead roles, Randy. I mean, I think I have 60 plus lead roles, not just shows, lead roles. And so I get there, I start tasting the professional life, and I was at B level. I didn't go to A level. It was time like I need to either pick. I was still dabbling. Like go to New York and go to the theater, or go to LA and go to film. Like you need to go all in and pick a zone. And my conclusion of trying to figure that process out was none of them.
Mm.
Here's what I learned. I loved the process. I didn't actually love the life. I didn't hate it. But what I started doing on the side was just as a volunteer working with these kids and putting projects together and doing these events for kids. And like I do kind of cool events and moments, and I'm on stage. I'll get on stage for these guys and hype them up. And I just fell in love with the growth process for them, and I discovered I loved it even more than I loved the stage. Nothing went wrong on the stage. It was just I more and more I'd be at rehearsal, and my mind would be on what I could do for the kids that weekend. And like I'm like, man, I wish I could this rehearsal would hurry up and get over so I could go work on my youth thing. And that wasn't a it's just like grew and grew until I'm like, I'd rather be doing that with my life than this. And then it rose to the question of why am I doing this? And so I'll challenge some of you that maybe have been very successful and you're wondering, what do I here's the thing. Here's I tell people now when I mentor them. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And that's what happened to me. And I think a lot of us well-meaning people, like the friends and family in my life, did it because they loved me. They put pressure on me to do this. I'll give you maybe a less melodramatic, like less Scott Wozniak crazy example. You're really good at math, so everyone says you should go into finance. You can be an accountant, maybe someday be the CFO. Like you're good at these numbers. You should go into well, maybe, but there are 1,000 things you can do with that kind of an analytical, calculating ability that don't have anything to do with business accounting. And just because you can do accounting really well doesn't mean that's actually the field you should be in. There's so many more things than when we're kids. You're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we know like 6 options, right? And so you pick one of the six. I'm going to be a fireman. I'm going to be a teacher. Like you don't even know teaching. I'll riff on this for just a second. You're good at teaching. You should go be a school teacher. Well, there are 1,000 ways for someone to communicate and inspire that don't involve you becoming a school teacher. My wife's a good example of this. She was a great teacher, everyone said. It turns out she loves being a college professor, not being a regular school teacher. But when you're a kid, all you see is the teacher in front of you. You think that's the only option with teaching. Well, gosh, not even just college. That's still traditional school. There's corporate trainers. There there's people doing what we're doing right now who teach profound things through their podcast and TikTok channel that never sit in a classic classroom, and they're teachers. We haven't even got to things like some of my friends mixed these two, and they're engineers who go into third world countries and they teach villages on how to build wells and maintain their equipment. And they don't actually build anything technically complicated, but they have the chops. And primarily what they do is they go around and teach villagers. Like who's thinking, gee, what I want to be when I grow up is a teacher of engineering into sub-Saharan Africa. This is good. Like the options we don't. Okay, so I'm riffing, tree to tree. I got to my first tree and I got there and I built a tree house and I was playing in my metaphor. I realized this isn't the tree. And I'm like, I'm a moron. Clearly, I picked the wrong tree. Now I know the tree I'm supposed to do. So I switch gears and I go to that tree and I set up camp and I'm building stuff. And I'm like, I have arrived. And then while there, I started, and so here's what happened in my life. I started working for some really nice guys who were really bad leaders. They meant well, they had a great heart, and they like wrecked the organization. I don't mean it was annoying, like wrecked the organization. So one of those organizations collapsed, doesn't exist. And in the process of trying to figure this out, I go to a mentor. I'm like, what's going on? It's not a moral failure. It's not illegal. Like, gosh, I don't even have words for this. This is terrible. And he's a nice guy. Like he's not a mean person. What do I do here? And they started handing me business books. And at first I was like I'm a creative. Like I don't do this accounting crap. And he's like, read the book, man. So I started reading them like they were novels because they had words for the problems. And it lit up a part of my brain on strategy and structure and the process of building, putting teams together and accomplishing something remarkable. And so, anyways, huge light up, and I was like, oh, I found I got as much and even more satisfaction from putting the team and the event together. I didn't actually need to be the guy on stage. It was fun. I like seeing it happen, whether I was the one doing it or not. The design and structure of it was just as satisfying to me, as long as the outcome happened and people's lives got changed. And so I'm like, oh, so this led to leadership, which leads to me studying that, which leads to me to going back to school. In fact, I was shaking my fist at God one day. It's like, it's not right. The world's held back for bad leaders. Somebody's supposed to be helping these people. Kind of felt like, God starts,
Wonder what he said.
yeah, huh. If only somebody would step up and help these people. So yeah, I think that's my calling is come alongside leaders and help them take their vision and turn it into actual reality with excellence. They're nice people with a good intentions, but man, I learned this the hard way. Good intentions do not create great outcomes.
This is so great. So jumping tree to tree, and you opened with this so well, is the your story is built in the transitions.
Yes,
Like,
that's
that's what
yeah.
matters. And so I wanna hear about the transitions, like, that's where the discomfort comes. That's where the new paradigm, the paradigm is shattered. That and so I wanna hear about that, some of those experiences, the struggle, the heartache,
Wow.
and then looking back, like, what's happening in this leap or fall from tree to tree?
Yes, no, that's a great call. Because the initial leaving is like I climbed the tree and I'm awesome. There's a crash, and that is not a comfortable experience. Because here's what happened for me, and I think a lot of us. My identity gets tangled up in what I'm doing, and I'm good at this thing. And so leaving
Oh,
the
I could
tree.
talk to you for hours. I wanna hear, like, the identity. What am I attached to? Like, this is my
Yes.
value. This is my worth,
Yes.
is
I mean,
this identity.
one of the life questions that we all need to wrestle with is when you like yourself, why?
Mm.
Why do you like yourself in those moments you do? What is it that you say about yourself? Like, man, I feel good about who I am. Stop and pause. What's going on? What happened that make you think that? The that's good and dangerous, right? Like
Yeah,
this.
because how often is that thing something you have no control of and can be taken from you?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, if why you like yourself is everyone around you is happy, you are in a very precarious position
Mhm.
because you cannot please everybody all the time, and they're going to get mad, and then I'm a failure. Like it gets really complicated. Here's one of the other triggers, like when you are feeling like unjustly put upon or they don't get me and all I would find I would say stuff to myself to, like, soothe myself, be like, "Well, it's okay because I fill in the blank," right? Like, "They don't get it, but I'm still good because" fill in the blank. That kinda stuff, what is it you lock onto? Where's your security and your identity, I think, is found in this stuff. Like, this is what defines me, and when everything else fails, at least I can fall back on this. I got this. And when that becomes the job you have or the industry or the degree or the skill set, you're in a tricky spot because if you don't have success in that space, you fail, or that's the second most. The most dangerous is that you get stuck in that tree and you can't leave it, even if you don't love it, because you don't know who you are when you're not in that tree.
I identify with that so much. Talk about identity. I identify with that story because I have worn that mask. I'm wearing that mask right now. I go through, periodically exercises of saying, "Well, what am I afraid to let go of and why?"
Yes.
And I go deep and deep and deep and I'm like, "Oh, I'm pulling up things." I'm like, "Ah." Like even as I introduced to this conversation today, I'm talking about, well, what I do for a living and I'm a specialist. It's like I'm wearing that as an identity, and that's something I hold on to, right? And I'm
Yes.
like, if you took that away from me, I'd like to say that I don't, that I'd be okay, but I think I'd be hurting pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
Because I attach my value to that more than I want to.
Mm.
Um, so it, this is the struggle. But where do I see this happening? The you know the yeah the actor that's on the top of the game, or and then they get canceled. Right? And it's like, "Oh, well, I'm worthless because nobody wants me anymore." Or the mother who her whole life is raising her kids and now they're all out of the house. It's like, "Well, who am I now?"
Thank you.
And I'm like, "These are real things." Like, this is real. I'm not minimizing that. I'm like,
Well,
"That's the struggle." So how do we, deal with it?
and in our professional zone,
Ah,
literally yesterday was meeting with a client. I won't share the name because you'll see why in a second, but like it's a high net worth family with a massive family enterprise. They've got, I don't know, 15 different businesses they own that are very successful. And the CEO is in his early 70s and won't let go. And the next gen is like chafing, "How do we do this? What's next? Where do we" and here's the problem, there's business strategy, there's numbers. Do you know what it all came down to? Like, where's the bottleneck on this? That CEO has no concept of his life when he's not working. He grew up in the business, family enterprise, it's all he knows, and he appoint a successor, start the transition, start to hand off, he won't do any of it because his identity is this work, and if he leaves the job, he's not even doesn't think the next generation can't handle it. He's like, "I know they're ready for it." I'm terrified of what happens if I don't have to come into the office on Monday because I don't know who I am if I'm not doing this job, and the whole enterprise I mean, now you get into tax excitement. I know this isn't supposed to be the technical, description of that, but, like, the trust papers and all this process of, like, "Bro, you better hope a bus doesn't come and hit you early because there isn't a plan for a handoff operationally or financially," and it's because he's terrified and his identity's tangled up in one thing.
yeah. I know our listeners identify with this and have that. And you know what? There's no judgment on this. All this is about acknowledgement, awareness,
Yeah,
and, awareness of it shines a light on it, and it's like, "Oh, now,"
yeah.
like, that's the key. It's like, "Oh, I see you now."
Well, I'll encourage in 2 ways as well. I'll underline this.
Mhm.
I don't think it's possible to not have something to anchor your identity in. I'm not a fan of the mindset that's like, "There is no me, there is no identity." Like, no, you should pick and craft an identity that matters, which means you have to anchor on something. I would just say choose what you want, purposefully rather than let it be chosen for you because society says, "Well, there you are, mom. boss, whatever the deal is, lawyer, right? That's your identity. Why don't you pick it and make sure that what you're locking into is what you want? I don't think it's wrong to have something that you hang on to. Just pick a smart thing versus a wobbly, sketchy thing. That's the first. And then I loved what you said, Randy. You're like, I'm still thinking about this. Like I went through it with a previous thing, and now what do you know? I'm gonna make sure I'm getting a lot of success. You're awesome at what you do. You got great raving fans. So like, okay, is this the thing I want to lock in on? Because there's all this pressure, even positive pressure. Everyone tells me how good I am. That must be why I should like
And
me.
it feels great when people say that, right? You're like, "Oh, my ego's like, yes, keep going."
That's right. Say more. Uh-huh. And so uh, I this is not a once-off thing that like, man, you figure it out and you're done. Like, welcome to the human journey. Like, we just like we're gonna need to be self-aware and just continue like, hey, think about your thinking. Notice the reactions when that flares up in you and you're like, oh, I really love, you know what? No one's told me how good I am at my job. Like, I really need that. Huh. Just stop and be like, that's interesting. I wonder why I need to hear that every week.
Yeah.
Is this the
Yeah.
thing I want?
What's underneath that? Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
I
Yes.
I have a mentor. I'll say mentor, and I'll say friend. I mean, we've met. I've had him on the podcast a couple times.
Nice.
Bob Goff. He's amazing.
Oh,
He's like the most
love Bob.
inspiring human in the world. I don't know anyone that lives their life as much as he does, all in.
Yes.
And he said to me, he says, "You know what? Take away everything that you're known for, and what's left is who you are."
Wow.
And then he says, "And you know what? And you're gonna move on, and you're gonna become for known for something else. Take it all away again, what's left? Yeah, that's who you are." And it's just the consistent, like, just recycling of that process, and that's how he says it in his quick paragraph.
That's beautiful.
So,
Yeah.
um
This transition moment. So the first layer is like I've had to so the first time I did it, I unattached from the identity of I'm a great performer and went to I'm a great like people developer. I care about these kids. I'm a person who pours in and raising up the next generation was my jam. Well, then I need to shift and like, oh, this business strategy, operations, this stuff matters. And like all that stuff I blew off might actually be the secret unlock. And then I'm like, oh man, I actually love it. So the third shift, I'm like, so was I just wrong the first two times and I'm a moron? And maybe now I'm finally figuring it out and I was kind of getting there. And then another shift, the Chick-fil-A, I'm like, "Wait a minute, fast food?" Like, nowhere in my grand plans was, "I can't wait to go work at a fast food company." And here's the shift that came around was okay, so I'll give you a little background. I went to high school with a guy named Andrew Cathy. Andrew and I played 3 sports, rode dirt bikes, we were on track and wrestling and all these cool stuff. I love the dude. Andrew's the grandson of a guy named Truett Cathy, who founded this little chain called Chick-fil-A. Almost 30 years ago, I graduated high school and I was like, "Hey, good luck with your little mall restaurant. Hope you make it."
yeah,
Yeah,
funny how I think
they're gonna make it, Randy. Yeah. So, I don't know, 16, 17 years ago now, I'd become this consultant. I'm doing this cool stuff. I think I've arrived. And they're like, "Hey, why don't you come work for us?" And honestly, at first I was like, fast food, like, come on. And honestly, it was my wife who's like, "Don't be a jerk." Like, 'cause they say sent me an email, like, "I want you to meet with my guy and talk about this role." And I was like, my wife's like, "Have you even replied to him yet?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And she's like, "So don't be a it'd been a month." She's like, "Don't be a jerk. You can give your friend an hour." I'm like, "You're right, fine." And then they started telling me about the role they wanted, and it wasn't to run one of the divisions, it was to work on the business, what we just talked about. Just go study the best and bring those ideas back to us. And the shift started being like, maybe the industry isn't the thing that's my thing. See, in one way, you could say I bounce all over the place from fast food to video games, from software as a service to deep family legal technical stuff. Like, sure, sure, sure. No, my thing is not the industry. My thing is the human dynamic of putting a team together and figure out how to get high operations and engagement from your team and what customers are actually caring about. But again, it's a human dynamic. The industry is not my thing. The people. That's my thing. And if you start going back, wait, there's a thread. Back where I was on stage and putting teams together, my favorite part was the gathering, the process. You know, the part I started getting bored is the performance, which is like backwards. I should be loving, and I'm like, ah, we're done. Now we just go and crank out a show 19 times in a row. And I'm like, when can we start a new project? Like the actual performing is boring. I love gathering a team, setting a goal, figuring that out, right? Similar with the youth. I love designing it. So the designing, the building of the team, the creating of a magical moment for the end user, that is the thing that's my thing, and it turns out that thing is the top of the T shape that goes across, so you could say I'm scattered and all over the map, and I could say I'm actually a deep technical expert on the thing that covers all the genres, and that's the people.
And how many trees did you have to jump before you realized that?
Like 6 or 7,
Yeah.
depending on how you count, and they're like, "Oh." Here's the lesson I would say, and to your point in the book range, and I'd say this to anyone who's wrestling with this, like, maybe I wasted all those years in those other trees. Actually,
Yeah.
it's the stuff I learned then that now is showing up and makes me super valuable. My ability to not just be a, "I know the numbers," like, no, I can relate to this whole variety of processes, and I'll put it this way, life journey-wise. Think that this is why I like the tree to tree forest metaphor. It took me a while to get to the first tree and set up and climb the tree and have fun in it, right? But I couldn't see the second tree until I was at the first tree. Well, I get there, there's second tree, the third tree, a forest, it's a thick forest. You can't see the other side of the forest from where you are. You can only see a little ways into the forest. I got to get to the third tree before I can even see the fourth tree. The stuff I learned at the third tree set me up to do the fourth and so on. And if you just have this learner mindset, then honestly, we come back to the name of your podcast. No pandering here at all. I have intense gratitude for all the random lessons and the falling out of the trees. Those have literally become the best lessons, and my competitive advantage is all this variety that's come together because in each case, I learned more about myself, learned more about the world, and what I do now needed all that journey.
And along the way, I'm guessing that many of those things that you're now grateful for were could have been terribly painful at the time. So, and probably the most impactful ones were the most painful. So,
Not
talk to
probably.
me about some of those. What are those difficult, painful moments for which you are now grateful?
Yeah. Okay. So when I said I work for really nice guys who are bad leaders, that's the really polite version that makes me look awesome. Like me, poor victim, my bad leaders. Randy, I was one of those really bad leaders. And one of the most painful moments, I wouldn't be able to do what I do without it. Okay. So I'm naturally wired to be more of like the idea visionary, inspirational guy, right? You think about what does well on stage. I learn my stuff. I'm a big creative thinker. So I got promoted to running this large statewide organization with lots of branches, full-time staff underneath me, staff under them. I'm a young guy in my mid-20s, and they give me this big opportunity because I was inspiring enough. The bosses were like, "He's the guy," right? And it went badly. And I don't mean like, "Ooh, we didn't hit our numbers." So in year 2, I found out that some of my staff had been secretly meeting with some of the board for 6 months, gathering secret evidence, and they had a big showdown and reveal to say, "This guy's terrible. Scott Wozniak is terrible. He should be fired." And they went this big like expose of all this stuff they've been collecting and secret meetings and video, like ridiculous stuff. And they were people that I personally hired and were friends of mine. And the utter lack of confidence, the failure, the rest of the board was like, "I don't know, what do we do?" And it was like a 6-month process to try to figure out how to resolve. I lost friends. I ended up not getting fired. They ended up leaving the organization because it didn't get resolved the way they liked it. But I I legitimately made a lot of dumb mistakes. Now, I give you a couple examples of dumb mistakes I made. We took the kids all in this youth program out for this grand weekend trip. It was one of the hype moments of the year, big event, bunch of buses and everyone lining up, and we had a building that was kind of our headquarters. Everyone met there and the buses and loaded and we left. And I left the building, the door to our building open. I don't mean unlocked, Randy. I mean propped open with a rock because we were moving stuff and gearing people in, and I was like, "I don't wanna just prop it open." And when all the hype, I left, and I left, like, we had all this expensive sound equipment and computer and all this stuff, and just left the door wide open, came back 3 days later. Thankfully, no one had stolen anything, a little God's protection probably, but, like, leaves were literally blowing through the building with the door it was in the fall. Like idiot mistakes, right? I would miss my own meetings, like call a meeting and then forget and not show up. I didn't have it's before technology, and I was like, just hope I remember. And then I'd get my head stuck in something, and I'd be dreaming and planning, and then they'd call me and be like, "Where were you? Like you didn't show up to your own meeting." Like idiot moves, not illegal stuff, right? But this is not trust inducing behavior. So the throwdown was this: we don't trust you. More than that, we don't think you're a leader. We think you hype up, but you can't deliver on anything you say. In fact, some of my well-meaning mentors, some of the board members on my side of the equation sat me down and said, "Scott, I think what's coming out of this is you should never be a leader. Maybe you should just go back to being a speaker, author, maybe go back to theater. Like, you're great as an individual. We really like you and your energy. I don't know if you're ever cut out to be a leader, and maybe this is a sign that, yes, you're on the wrong life path." Like,
Yeah,
it was
that
the
sounds really painful to
utter
hear.
rejection,
Uh,
utter rejection of, like, "We don't like you, and even the people who like you aren't capable of doing the thing you wanna do with your life. You're on the wrong path, and we don't like you." Like, there and literally, and by the way, just to throw, like, the salt on top of the wound here, there was a girl I was really interested in this moment, and right around then, I was like, "I really hope she would respond well," and I lean into this, and she's like, "You know," 'cause I told her, like, "These people," and I was, like, hoping she would come to my defense and be like, "Yeah, Scott, but I think you're great." And she's like, I'm glad you brought that up because 'cause I've been meaning to tell you that I'm really annoyed by some of the stuff you do, and I don't think we should hang out anymore." Like,
wow.
utter rejection, Randy. It is one of the most painful seasons of my life, and, and okay, and in this moment, I felt like God was telling me, "No, you're still supposed to do this," and yet they were actually right. My raw wiring did not have the detail orientation, the process management. I have no natural sense of time. I get sucked into what I'm doing. I forget time passes. Like, when I hyper focus on something, it's my superpower and my weakness. I lose everything else in the world around me. Like, it's not my strength. You like, talk to me about go through budget line by line and be precise. I get tired thinking about it, man. Like, I haven't even done the work. This and I recognized, "Oh, they're right. I can't be a good leader, not at the next scale, not at the national level, unless I," like I said, "Scott, we love that you improv and come up with things you're brilliant on your own, but nobody can follow you if you're constantly changing the plan or won't tell them the plan." Randy, they're not wrong. Like,
Mm.
they can't, sorry. And I agreed with them, and they're like, "And you aren't a planner, and you don't have details, and you don't have a sense of time." Like, "None of this is you. Why don't you just pick a life that's easier for you?" And I'm not saying that's bad advice. There's a certain wisdom in saying, "What's my strength? I'm gonna go into my strength." But there was also this deep sense of calling, like, I think I'm supposed to do this. And so the journey, this is the moment. Like, okay, it would be long, painful, and exhausting for me to piece by piece learn how to do the things that I'm really bad at. But that might be what's necessary if I want to become the kind of leader and influencer I think I'm supposed to be. And so I remember this vivid moment, staying late up into the night, 2, 3 a.m., wrestling, praying, journaling, and coming to this conclusion, like, I think I'm supposed to go down that path. Now, Randy, I wouldn't do what I'm doing without this, and I don't just mean, directionally. I think one of the reasons why I'm so effective today and why I've gotten so much good feedback and response, my whole passion is the tactical details. How do you actually do it? Interestingly, my company, my focus, my niche, what makes me different from a lot of folks in my space, I'm not interested in the motivational hype. I'm like, show me all the tactical steps, 1, 2, 3, in sequence order. Like, don't do 3 yet. You're not ready. Here's how you know. Why can I spell all that stuff out? Because I had to learn every dadgum thinking step myself. Sometimes when you're really talented, you're like, "Oh, you just get organized. Like, you just show up on time. It's easy." Dude, it is not easy for me. And so as a result, I can help people. I am so grateful that I had to go through this brutal process because that's now I'm able to teach people the process. If you stink at it, if your company is grand vision and no excellence, like, me too. I went through the journey. We figured it out. We ended up being awesome at it. I can walk you through the process. specifically because I was so bad at it. Yeah, that's one of the highlight moments, and it is not like I got through it and it's okay. It is literally how bad I was is the gift to my life because that's what set me up to be able to teach other people how to do it.
That's amazing. So I see this theme so often in my conversations of people like at the moment in time, it's very hard for people to say in the depths of pain of everybody telling me and me telling myself even worse that I'm no good, I'm a failure, I can't do anything, like I don't have like through all of that pain. And then but coming through that on the other side, to be able to look back and say, "Oh, no, I am grateful for that moment." But
Yeah.
during it, it's very hard. It's like,
Yo,
"No, I'm
very
feeling the pain. It is acute pain right now, and I want someone to tell me, 'No, you're the best,'" and, like, take it away from me.
yeah.
Um, but feeling it and getting through it, just that idea, and this is where I say that gratitude changes lives
Mm,
and it'll save a life. Like, literally, I know stories of it's literally saved a life,
mm,
like, literally, but, like, metaphorically, how it saves and changes a life is you. Your life is changed, it's different because you've been able to transform it by going back to these experiences, and your memory of those experiences isn't like, "Oh my gosh, my life was horrible."
mm, mm.
You're like, "No, this was the jumping point
Yeah,
that created the person I have become."
yeah.
Right?
The
And the
raw
gratitude for that is like it's next level.
That's it. The raw materials of my current craft were there. Without that, I don't have the raw materials to work with. And I'll say one other thing that comes out of this, it will kind of connect some dots. Identity and these painful moments. Maybe you're facing one of those. One of the it took me maybe 2 or 3 trees to get here, but I really got to this place. Remember the first tree, I'm like, "I'm a moron. Okay, never again. Never again I'll make a big change. I figured it out." Somewhere around the 3rd or 4th big shift to be like, there's also a releasing of the shame of being like, "Well, I must have messed up, and I'm afraid to admit that, and I don't want to admit," and literally some piece of like, "Yeah, oh no, I totally blew it." And I'm okay. I like myself, and I totally know that I messed up and was bad at it. Like, the gratitude shift allows me to like myself without having to tell myself that I'm perfect, because that's in one of the other traps. Like, I like myself because, okay, this one time I messed up, but who I am is someone who doesn't mess up. Actually, who I am messes up a lot, and I'm working on getting better, but I don't need to be perfect to be okay with myself. That's another yeah, like, it's in my control. That's really dangerous.
This is such a cool, opportunity. So what I see in you, I mean, this isn't the first time we've spoken, but what I see in you and in shared relationships that we have, I mean, our friend Caitlin, um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, she introduced us. We had her on the podcast too, and she connected us. I mean, she's amazing. Everybody check
Yes.
that out. But people that I look at that I admire,
Mm,
it's so easy for me to look at people in the past and highlight all of their wondrous achievements and characteristics, right? And
yeah.
you look at them and some and deify them sometimes. But
Yes.
then all of a sudden we learn of like, oh, well, they had some flaws. And sometimes that disillusions people.
Mhm.
And that individual, that hero of theirs loses value and meaning in their life. I would argue that that is even better to embrace that
Hmm.
because this is an exercise that I'm going through. I'm consistently trying to be able to do this is to say, well, wait a minute. I'm a human full of values, virtues, mistakes, shameful moments and experiences. And if I can talk to someone like you and you look at me and you know all of them, and if
Mhm.
you can say, I love you, Randy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you know all of that, and I'm good enough for you. It's like, okay. And so if I can do that externally too and know that, oh, well, who are these people that I value and I admire? They
Yes.
are not all of their highest achievements. They have failures and mistakes all along the way in their life. And I'm like, you know who each one of them is? Me,
Mhm.
right? Why
Yes.
are they different than me? They're a human going through the human experience and they are making horrible mistakes along the way, just like me,
Yeah.
and moving forward and coming through it. And I'm like, okay, I am them. They are me. Like this
Yeah.
is the experience.
And this is the so being a parent really brought this home. This is the thing I'll give to others, and sometimes we're afraid to receive ourselves. I want my children to behave well because it's more fun for me and more fun for them when their life works. But I really do love them even when they don't behave well. And I this weird moment, I don't know, we've talked a little bit about some of our faith or background, but like God loves me and still has a standard for me, and sometimes that gets confusing, like, does he hate me when I mess up? And, like, I remember being a parent and seeing my kids, like, do dumb stuff. 2 AM, they're waking me up and pitching a fit, and I'm like, "You're adorable, and I'm really mad that you're not in bed." At the same time, you're like, "Oh, it's possible to love someone and not agree with the choice they're making in the moment, and I can give that as a parent, and then I was this journey of, like, am I willing to receive the thing that it's po I now at first, it's like, "Maybe that's not possible," and you're like, "Actually, I know it's possible because I feel that for my child." Like, "Dumb choice, you should not have done that, thrown that thing down and broken it." But I deeply love you. At the same time, I think that was a dumb choice. You don't have to think I'm perfect. What that did is that separated your value in my life and your performance in the moment, whether you made the smart choice that I think is smart or not, right? And so giving that away allowed me to say, hey, maybe I can receive that. This is how God loves me. I can love others this way. Like that process of being like, okay, holding two thoughts in my head at the same time. I've messed up and I'm still loved. And what I've tended to do in my immature days is I'd have to pick one, right? Like, I'm gonna wipe away my mess up. Like, I made up for it, so now I'm loved. Or, no, I messed up too badly, so the love must be gone away. And it's a weird thing to maybe just for me, but maybe for not the whole both. I
They
that
both comprise you.
Yes, yes, and that is, as you said, is the human situation, the human experience, and if we're stuck in this performance trap, I don't know that you're ever gonna get peace. I'll say this, I work with a lot of high capacity folks, from individual performers to CEOs of big companies, and sadly, a significant percentage of them are achieving their results out of desperate fear. They are striving and trying to prove to themselves and maybe a parent who's even long dead, like, desperate. Anxiety-driven desperation is really productive. It is, until suddenly one day it isn't. Like, you'll accomplish and the world will keep patting you on your back, and then you'll hit a cliff when you realize, I don't wanna live this way. I don't like myself, and so there's this you might be that guy. Maybe you didn't fall off a tree. Maybe your life is crushing it right now and everybody's patting you on the back, but deep down, your identity is tangled up in getting perfect and figuring out. And I'm telling you that thing you're afraid of, like Randy just said, you letting go of that thing you're holding on to that makes you feel like I'm still okay in the world, but it's actually not good for you and it's sucking the soul out of you. On the other side of what you fear is so much joy and peace. And there's another tree that's amazing. Like you'll be so glad that you had to go through this transition. It really is worth it.
So cling to that hope. I think sometime now you've hopped 7, 8, 9, 10. How many trees that you've hopped in your lifetime,
Yeah, I'm a
right?
slow learner.
I think if anybody listening, myself included, if we just kind of think back to our life from childhood to where we are now, we could come up with those trees that we've hopped, right?
Yeah.
All of us can probably identify some of those and think them through. So my guess is that you are much better at hopping from tree to tree now. You've got
Yes.
much more practice from it, and so, I have a question for you, just because I feel this from, one of my last biggest transitions is what that I'll say, a tree that I hopped to, that space between those 2 trees,
Mm,
I realized and then learned something to say, "You know what? When I was in that other tree, in that other position, what I saw for my life and my future looked like X."
mhm.
And the fact that I moved into a new tree and had vision of something else, it opened my mind to say, "You know what? I can see something I couldn't before see."
Mm,
And so where I am now, I accept the possibility that what my future becomes could be something I can't even imagine now.
yes.
And so I'm like, "Okay, another tree might reveal itself." And I'm like,
Yes.
"Here we go." And I'm open to that, where before I wasn't open. I was ripped away from a tree. You
Mhm.
know, I was pushed out of a tree. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't it wasn't like, "Oh, there's another tree over there." And I've realized, through, a smooth process that, I can build a rope swing to get me over there. It was like, "No, I'm hitting branches on the way down and kinda grasping for life." And I'm like, "Oh, well, that was the only way I was gonna get out of that tree."
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
now I'm
sometimes we
like,
have to be pushed out of the nest, right?
"Yeah,
Yeah.
it hurt."
Yes.
So bad. But so I wanna ask you about your, metaphorically, like, are you just, like, waiting, like, "Where's the next tree?" Like, "I'm so excited if it comes." Like, what's the future hold for me?
Yeah, great question. I'll talk tactical and I'll talk like kind of personal mindset wise. In terms of mindset, you're right. I think about holding things with an open hand. Like it's in my palm and I've got it, but I'm not squeezing it. Like, okay, this could shift. It's here. I'm gonna do the best I can with what's in my hand, but I'm not gonna grip it with white knuckled intensity of like, I need this thing because I have a faith that the thing I can't see it'll work out. And my faith, so mindset wise, it really does come to it. Like there's a verse where God says, God will work all things to the good of those who love him and according to his purpose. So like if I'm going to stay with him, he's going to take care of me. He didn't promise riches, but he like you're going to be fine. The fundamentals. And I've lived that enough that even when I don't see it, I'm like, it'll be fine. Maybe it won't work the way I want it to work, but my in a fundamental sense, the thing I can't see, I think God is gonna work it out. As long as I don't deliberately make bad choices, I'm gonna be okay. So, that piece of, like, I'm okay with the thing I can't see. I'm okay that there's stuff going on and it'll figure itself out. Allows me to relax a little bit, and that makes me more open and aware of opportunities and things are going on, because sometimes when you're in the white knuckle, you need this thing, you'll get signals about your next tree and you will dismiss them or ignore them or even deny them because they threaten the thing you need. And so, like, this isn't going well. I'm gonna make it go well. Like, maybe that's a signal that this isn't the long-term play for you. The door's shutting, the industry's changing on you. Your family dynamic is shifting. They're leaving the house. And I see moms. I mean, we've been talking to CEOs, but like I see moms white knuckle grip their 18-year-olds because they don't know what's going on. Mom, he's leaving whether or not you want. Like you could make him guilt him to stay in the basement a little bit, but at some point, like you have to do this. So because we need it, we will shut down awareness of what's going on. And so if you can relax and be like, it'll be okay. My identity is not the thing. There's a series of things. You're right. We're all going to be tree at some point, even if it's like I have a very traditional old school career. I went to school, I work at the company, I retire. We've got at least 4 trees in there from childhood to education to career. Even if you stay at one company for 40 years, then you're going to retire. Like there's at least 4 trees in your life. You're not a thing. You're a series of adventures. So begin to open up and then you notice. You just notice more when you don't need the one thing. So that's my mindset of like hold it loosely and just pay attention. What there's 2 questions I always wrestle with in this. What makes me come alive and what does the world need? And I think of them as overlapping circles, right? There's some things that make me come alive that don't help the world at all. And I'm going to have fun with them as a hobby. It's probably not a next major tree. There's some things the world needs that I'm not equipped to help with. And they're legitimate needs in the world. I can't own all the needs in the world. Thankfully, that's what everyone else is for. We all pick some needs and we can all do it if we combine, but nobody can do it by themselves. Dude, there's some overlap though of the things that I love. They just light me up and the world needs. And what I've usually found is during those transitions, one of those 2 things is happening. I'm discovering I love this. Man, I love this more than I thought. Like think about my theater to youth days is like, I love this seeing the people grow more than the show. I don't think shows are bad at all, but like I didn't light up in the same way. Well, maybe some of the next shift of like somebody's got to help these leaders. That's the world needs this. part of why I couldn't walk away from it was like, I think I'm called to help these guys. The world needs this, and I need to help these people. Either one of those, as I progress in revelation on who I am or what the world needs, it often reveals a new tree, and I have to be open to those signals to like what's happening around me. So that's mindset. Here's the tactical thing. Because this feels very fluffy and like, well, then if you find something, you just jump out of the tree and hope you land somewhere, right? Okay, I've done that. I don't recommend that. This is the least of intelligent way to do a transition. I've gotten huge benefit from just starting to run experiments on the new tree while I'm still at the old tree, especially in modern times. There's almost nothing that you can't start to play with and experiment with while you're still in the old zone. You can do a side gig job. Now, there's some jobs that lock you down and say you can't, but even then, you can do things like, "Hey, can I just like, contact somebody who does that work and say, 'Don't pay me. I'll take a vacation day, and I just wanna shadow you and see.'" One of my friends did this. He did it with Bob Goff, actually. He's like, "I'm thinking of becoming a full-time speaker." This guy was a very successful CEO. Bob is a mutual friend. We made some connections, and he's like, "Bob, can I just do a week with you?" And he traveled a week with Bob Goff and said, "What's the life of a speaker like?" By the way, at the end of it, he was like, "I love Bob Goff, and I don't wanna be a speaker." Good, which is great. He didn't leave his job to figure that out. It took him 5 days of vacation, and he got to see even parents, like, I can't practice being an empty nester. Actually, you can't. You can send your kids to a summer camp or your family, and you and your spouse take a week at home where you're like, "Let's pretend what's life like without kids? How do we feel? What would we do with ourselves? What do we talk about at dinner if we're not allowed to talk about the kids for a week?" And you can practice the new thing while doing the old thing, and you figure out what you like and don't like. And it turns out this guy says, I actually don't want to be a speaker, but I love the writing process. So he's written a book. He's actually written 2 books since then, and he doesn't want to do any speaking. He just likes the writing process. You can experiment while you're in one tree before, to your metaphor, you can start building a rope swing and like build a ladder and decide, "Well, actually, I don't want to go to that. It's a little different. It's not that tree, it's the tree right next to it." And so you don't have to leap off a cliff and bet the farm every time. If you're open to it and you start noticing these signals, then you just start running some experiments. Like, I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna do that on the side. Let's see what this is like. And sometimes you're like, I'm glad I did that. I don't want to keep doing it. And sometimes you do it and you're like, oh, I love that so much. I'd be willing to leave my tree for it.
Yeah, and that transition, I think, is how people end up moving. Like, is
Mhm.
they fall in love with something and they're surprised by it. So, I mean, we're getting to the edge of this. I'm so excited that we're gonna leave with me wanting more because I mean, leave people wanting, and then we
Come
can
on.
do this again. That surprise, that element of surprise, I'm kinda curious about that, and maybe kind of a short question to end on is like, what's something that recently you learned,
Hmm.
whether this is from someone you coach or work with or somewhere else, or even from your kids, that you learned that changed you or that you were surprised by?
Man, I can think of a few different things that's been interesting. I'll give you one that's about a yearish ago, almost 2 years now, I guess, but still feels recent. Podcasts. The fact that we're having this conversation, I had been told for years, "You should get into this. It's a good strategy. You're a good thinker, and that part of your job is teaching, so it's a good." And I knew all of it, but I'm like, "I'm busy in the thing," and I finally was a guest on somebody's show, and I was like, "Dude, that was so fun. Holy cow." And then I was like, "Okay, yeah, but my own, there's all the production and all that stuff." And then somebody was like, "Actually, you can hire that part." And so I've been delighted at how life-giving this is. Like, getting with smart, deep guys like you and just exploring life and sharing our lessons with each other. I'm told this is helpful for people, and I'm like, "Good for you, because I got stuff out of today." Like, "This was awesome." Oh, yeah, I mean, it's for you guys. It's all
Yeah.
for you. This is the stuff where I'm like, I was even more fun than I realized. So I not only launched a podcast, I actually launched 2 the next year, I launched another podcast. I actually, at one point, had 3 podcasts. I pulled
Good
1
for you.
back, so I've just got 2 now, but yeah, I even knew all about it. I'd even been the stage guy and the communicator, and I didn't realize how fun this would be. So this is one that we're living right now that's really vivid for me. I'll give you another one, running. For years, I said I would never run. I make jokes like, "Yeah, I'll run when someone's chasing me." I loved the more adventure action sports. We've had this conversation, right? Skiing and mountain biking and all this cool stuff. And then I discovered audiobooks, which, oh, by the way, this is a huge part of how I read so many books. I don't sit around for 8 hours a day reading. I don't have time for that. I've learned how to do audiobooks, increase the playback speed. That's the unlocked secret while I do long runs or do the laundry or drive or sit in an airport line. I travel for work. And so I've got these dead windows when I guess I'd listen to music or something or zone out. And now I put an audiobook on, and audiobooks allowed me to discover that actually I love running. What I didn't love was the boredom of a long run. Like when I just, or I have an idea and I don't know what to do with it. And so running with an audiobook and my phone in a special little belt pouch that doesn't flop while I run, and I literally will stop mid-run sometimes and write down a cool thought that came from the book or a note I wanna take. And is it the most efficient running in the world? No, but I'm getting great exercise. I run around, I go to cool places around the world now, like part of my travel routine. Because there's the other problem. How do I travel? How do you exercise when you travel? You can't bring all your gear with you. Like, man, I'm gonna be up in the mountains near Salt Lake. Heck yeah, I can't wait for my run this morning. I'm gonna load a great book. I'm gonna watch the sun come up while I'm on a mountain trail. Like, my brain's moving. So now I'm a huge fan of running, and that's been a fun life discovery. I literally, like, loudly teased people who are runners. Were like, "Come on, this is the worst, boringest exercise in the world," and now it's one of my favorites.
That's good. I love those lessons that you learn. I gotta tell you, I made fun of my sister for years that she would run marathons. I'm like, "That's so bad for your body." Like, I knew anything, right?
Right.
That's you're gonna hate yourself in your old age and stuff, and then eventually I picked it up in my 30s,
Come on.
started running and running marathons and so on.
Yes.
But then I learned with books when I got into audiobooks just like you, those habits, like Atomic Habits talks about stacking habits on each other. I used to have a habit to get out and run, but then reading my books, like my book habits, that actually got me to run because I said, "I don't wanna stop listening to this book."
Yeah,
And
so I
and the only place I can listen to it for a length of time is running. So
yes.
that actually got me out the door.
Yeah. Let me end with this maybe on my end. Here's what I've literally come to. If I look back historically, I can, moment after moment, let's take surprise to the next level. We're like, there was a thing I strongly believed or a mindset I have that I'm like, oh, I now slap my forehead. And I'm like, I cannot believe that I thought that or didn't know how to do that thing or rejected that stuff that I now love or vice versa. Right. And I could see a series of that through my life. And I used to be like, when am I going to be done? Like, finally, now there's nothing wrong and I got it all figured out. No, I've shifted so far to the other end now, Randy, that I'm saying there's things right now that 3 to 5 years from now, I'm gonna slap my forehead and be like, "I can't believe that I thought that." I'm currently wrong about some things, and I don't know what they are yet, and I can't wait to find out. I'm not just willing if it's forced on me. I'm like, "This is the journey." I don't need to be right anymore to like myself. This is the journey. I'm gonna figure out for the rest of my life, every 3 to 5 years, I'm gonna have at least one thing, I hope, where I'm like, "Oh, what? I had that backward. This is great." And I get to just the discovery and the leveling up and the growth. That to me is I'm grateful for all these moments that I used to feel shame about, and I'm like, "This is the fun part." That's where I'm at now, is it's not a one thing that happens. I'm regularly anticipating when I'm gonna be surprised and shift my approach and get to do something new with my life.
Amazing, Scott. I don't need to be right to like myself. I mean, how much better can we end that? Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Scott, thank you for this conversation. I can't wait till the next one. And you know what? I might steal the book from you and we can have this conversation side by side on skis or a bike, or even I'll pull out my running shoes again. So let's when you come to Utah, we're making it happen. Okay, thank you, sir. Everyone, we'll see you next time.